Hi guys, today I am doing a grocery haul. This grocery haul is going to try and show you how you can balance wanting quick meals, but you also want to save money. You're trying to be a bit healthy and you're trying to juggle those three things. I don't think you can have them all because it just becomes either too expensive, too time consuming. So today's video is going to try and find that balance in between and give you some options. So if you're wanting to try and find a balance to save money, eat more healthy and save time, keep watching. So look, I do my shopping at Coles. I do Coles online. I find online shopping more convenient because I've got two little ones and dragging them to the store can just become overwhelming and a bit stressful, and I buy things I don't need to keep them happy. I've tried bringing them snacks with me. It just doesn't work. And I also chose to do my Coles haul because I know a lot of people don't have access to other grocery options. They might be living a bit more regional and they've only got the major food chains. I have tried shopping at Aldi's. I have done Aldi's hauls on my YouTube channel way back in the beginning, and believe it or not, I actually find Coles is cheaper for where we live when I shop smart and I shop the sales. So this is my grocery haul today. I've just done a Instagram story sharing it all with you, but this here came to $253.87. Now, this probably would have come in at cheaper if I did shop the sales and buy the 2-for-1, that sort of thing, but I just really want to get all the groceries out today to give you examples of where you can save things. So for example, these weren't on sale. My favorite meat pies to get, if they were on sale, I would have grabbed them. So what I'm going to show you today probably might seem a bit expensive, but if you were to shop smart and when the sales are on, which I do explain in my other YouTube videos, you will understand, you will see where I'm sort of coming from. But anyway, I'm going to go behind the camera and I'm going to point out a few things and talk about them. I'm then going to come back and talk to you and explain some tips and tricks, and also how I plan our meals for the week. It might seem a bit back to front than what you're used to. So just to give you an overview, this is all of the items I have purchased. I will go through probably 95% of them in detail because some of them are kind of self-explanatory, but I will share my tips and tricks on how we cut out those couple of cents or dollars on items, which really add up when you are a family. When you're living by yourself, it's kind of easy to get away with a few things, but when you're trying to feed 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mouths, it can get quite expensive. So I think I'll start with my cold section. So milk. My family love cow's milk. It's probably their most expensive thing in our grocery shop every week. We go through it. I've tried to cut it back, but because my husband works from home, I'm at home, my kids love drinking milk. It's just one of those things that I just have to allow that is going to be a cost for us. Now, when it comes to meat, we do buy our red meat from Maranoa Farm, but I do buy our pork and our chicken from Coles. Now, this one here, this is the pork I use to make my pulled pork stuffed sweet potato recipe. I do have it on my YouTube channel. I'll try and link the video that is in down below for you. But this for pork is a very cheap cut of pork, a very cheap price for pork per kilo. Again, this is my local Coles. It might vary to where you are. You might pay even cheaper than I do, which is great. But boneless shoulder pork is a very cheap cut of meat, and it cooks really well when you slow cook it. This one here says you can obviously oven cook it for 3 hours. I put it in my pot and slow cook it. You could use it in a slow cooker. And it's a really versatile piece of meat. So you could roast it, you could do my pulled pork recipe, you could make pork sandwiches, you could make the pork, cut it and put it in gravy for dinner. A very, very versatile piece of meat. The other little thing I wanted to share with you, I know so many people, and I love it too, and we do it from time to time, is you buy the hot chooks from Coles, Woolies, Costco's, and they taste amazing and they're seasoned and they're great. I really love them. But if you really are on a budget and you're trying to find the odd dollar here and there to cut out of your grocery bill, buying the whole chooks are actually quite cheap. So this one here actually came to $6.84. So my local Coles sell the hot chooks for $10. So this one here is actually saving me $3.16. And by putting it in the oven, yes, I am spending power. I can use my own seasoning, which does cost me money, but long term, if I'm eating chicken regularly, this might be a cheaper option to go. And that is what you need to look at when you're doing your grocery shopping. It's not a matter of, we just won't eat dairy to save us money. It's what can I take out little by little by little to reduce the cost down of our grocery bill. Great example is peas and corn. So everyone loves peas and corn. If you don't love peas and corn, I don't know you. Peas and corn. I buy them separately. You can get cheaper options than these. So these ones here work out to be, I think, $2.60 a bag. I get a kilo of each. There are cheaper options, but I am trying to pick and choose how I can be more Australian, purchase more Australian items. So what I do is I buy a bag of peas and I buy a bag of corn, and then I put them into a Ziploc bag and I mix them together and make my own. By doing that, it works out to be over $1.60 cheaper than purchasing it pre-made for me in the same brand. So the same Coles Australian peas and corn bag mixed together, I'm paying an extra $1.60. Again, where I live, keeping it in perspective for you. And then I can also keep this separate because my daughter loves corn. I can make mashed peas. So a very versatile thing, having them separate. And again, I've saved money there. I've saved money there straight off the bat. The other thing I like to have is always have butter. I do a lot of cooking. Fact is, the more you cook at home and make your own muffins and biscuits and bread, it is going to be cheaper in the long run. I understand time-wise, that is not always an option for people who may work full-time, who have more children, who hate to cook, but I do find butter in our house pretty much a staple for when we do cooking. Okay, while we're on the cold, let's look at cheese. So when it comes to cheese, I know for school kids that when you have cheese in your lunch boxes, it's really handy to buy the pre-cut or the string cheeses. It's really expensive because you're paying for the packaging and the process for that to happen. Buy a block of cheese, cut it up yourself, put it in the kids' lunch boxes. It's really handy. The other thing I find, buying a large block, yes, it does work out cheaper because whenever you buy in bulk, it is a cheaper option for you. If I grate this, so I'll cut mine in half and I'll grate half of it and put it in a container, and the other half I'll just leave whole so we can cut like slices or cubes. My husband prefers it sliced on his sandwiches. The grated cheese lasts a lot longer as well, and my kids have got better fine motor skills to pick the cheese off their plate, so they're having it for a snack. So let's move over to fruit and veg, which is something that we stock up every week. We eat a lot of fruit and veg in our house, and it can work out quite expensive. Now, I could go to 2 options in our neighborhood and probably get cheaper produce. For me, it's probably more of a convenience that I can get all of this at once, bring it home, unload it, and it's done. So fruit and veg, there is a fruit and veg barn down the road from us. Their produce probably isn't as fresh, but it is a lot cheaper. So if you are really on a budget, take some of the tips I'm about to tell you, but also maybe shop around and find some cheaper options if you're willing to spend the time. Again, it's the time versus the health versus the convenience to find some cheaper options for yourself. So let me give you a couple of options. Sorry guys, the camera died. So these apples here this week were $3.90 a kilo. These ones worked out to be $2.90 a kilo. Now my husband loves green apples. My kids eat either. So again, just to save that little 10% in my grocery shop on one item, I bought a couple for my husband, so he's got 4, and then I bought more in the red, so my kids will probably eat the red ones this week because they are cheaper. So just by doing that, instead of buying 8 or 10 of the green, I've still got green as an option, and if the kids want green, they can have green, and my husband can just have the red. That is fine, or I'll have the red. But it's just making that small change. So instead of potentially paying $6 for these apples, I may have paid $4, which gives me $2 left over, and I've bought red ones as another option for it. I'm hoping this makes sense. Now my kids love berries. I think every kid loves berries, and every parent finds they can be quite expensive. So we usually tend to go through strawberries, blueberries, and blackberries. These can sometimes be, so I think these weeks these were $4. These can be up to $8 for literally 8 blackberries. It can be so expensive, and my son will sit there and basically inhale them and they're gone. So options when it comes to berries is strawberries I will cut up really small so it takes them longer to eat. I will serve a couple of strawberries, a little bit of blueberries, and some blackberries to make it stretch further. I'll make a fruit salad using orange, apples, and a strawberry. Or I will mix them through so they will have not just fruit, I will give them a strawberry and some yogurt to eat. So I know some parents really struggle with fruit. The other option with your berries is my kids do like frozen fruit. So sometimes I will serve them frozen fruit. I do sit with them though when they eat, just to make sure it's not a choking hazard for them. But I do understand that berries can be a very, very expensive purchase for toddlers. Now when it comes to veg, I will always look for things that are loosely packed, but sometimes pre-packaged things actually work out cheaper, so keep an eye on that. These were actually cheaper than loosely. These were actually cheaper than buying them loose. And I do look for things in the veggie department and the fruit department that are in season. But in saying that, so we're in spring here, so pumpkin's kind of going out. This was $1.20 a kilo. I think in the peak of winter, this was $1.50 at my grocery store. Again, yours might be cheaper elsewhere. And it was quite cheap. So I thought, I'm gonna buy that. I'm gonna use that this week. So this week, we're actually gonna do pizza, homemade pizza, and I'm going to use the pumpkin and make a vegetarian option using the pumpkin. Great way to use it. I might even make what's left over into a batch of roasted pumpkin soup, and freeze it. So very, very cheap, and that's gonna give me a couple of meals there. So I definitely wanted to grab that. While we're here, I'm going to move into the bread section. Now, my kids will either have for breakfast oats, Wheat Bix, or bread. So I'll always have bread in the freezer. This is not the usual bread we purchase because my Coles didn't have it in stock. So this was a substitute we get. I do prefer to give the kids wholemeal. It's actually kind of the same price to white bread from what I've looked at. So we do like to have bread available in the freezer. Again, it's handy. You can make desserts out of bread. You can freeze bread really well. You can make sandwiches and freeze the bread. Your lunches, kids' lunches, toasted sandwiches. I think the bread's a bit forgotten about these days because people are so aware of carbs and that sort of thing. I don't know. We have bread. The other thing I like to have is I have wraps for lunch, and so we always have wraps in our house. The other thing I find with these too, if you cut a wrap into like quarters, you can make your own homemade chips. You put them into the oven, let them crisp up, and they make a really, really crispy chip. So this is a great thing to have in your pantry. So you would have heard me mention before in regards to we're having homemade pizzas this week. I love using Lebanese bread to make homemade pizzas. This is not the brand we usually get, but I do like using Lebanese pizzas. The base of them crisp up really well, and I love homemade pizzas. One, because they're a healthier alternative, and two, they're so much cheaper. And what I usually do is I'll make up the whole batch and then I'll just wrap them and freeze them. So if I'm not in the mood for cooking, I've got homemade frozen pizzas in my freezer ready to whip out and heat up for dinner. Moving on to some pantry staples, I think it is really handy to have nuts in your house if you don't have allergies to them. So nuts, I can make all sorts of things with nuts. I can put them through yogurts, fruit and nut mix, great little things to have for kids' lunch boxes. I can make banana breads, cakes with them. People come over to do afternoon tea, I can make a cheese board and I can use nuts. I just think they're a very, very versatile thing to have in your pantry. The other thing, I love having dried pasta. So this one here, I actually needed these this week, so I grabbed these ones to give as my example. This is just the macaroni. For convenience, it is so easy for parents to grab the sachets where it's got like the mac and cheese pre-made. You put it in the microwave and it heats up and cooks it. I like to make my own, so I will always have some type of pasta in my house. I literally chuck that into a dish, chuck in some cream, chuck in some milk, chuck in some seasoning, and macaroni and cheese, done. My kids really, really enjoy it. So pasta's always a big thing in our house. We literally had lasagna last night. I took out some lasagna sheets I had sitting there forever. I had some spag bol mince and made lasagna, and it was a great dinner. So this is a convenient thing to have. It's also quite a cheap option as well if you are trying to save money. Drop the pre-made packaging stuff and buy some pasta and look for some really quick and easy recipes that you can whip up for dinner. Now, if you are wanting a bit more convenience, I love buying these jars here. So the Sharwood's one for the tikka masala, and I do like the Pat Tax korma one. I buy these when they're on sale. You can usually get them for like $1, $52. And then what I do with them, you would see in my other videos, is everything you see on that label, I add to the pot. So I add more onion, I add more tomatoes, I add capsicum, and I beef it right up. So they are always in my pantry, but I will only buy them when they're on sale. Herbs and spices. So again, this is the one I've purchased this week, which is the Garam Masala. I've got heaps of spices in my pantry. Seasonings, you would have seen in a recent video. I will season most of our meat. I'll buy large packaging like this one here. Apparently this is meant to taste like the Red Rooster or the KFC chip seasoning. So I thought I would grab it and give it a go. It's called Chippy by Anchor. Chippy flavored salt. Meant to be for chips, but you could totally flavor your chicken with that. That would actually be really good. Seasoning you chop before you put it into the oven. So moving on to flavored drinks. So we have a Soda Stream. Love the Soda Stream. Much more cheaper than buying cans, and it's more environmentally friendly. This is a brand of cordial that I absolutely love. I'll only purchase it when it's on sale. Apart from today, none of this was on sale. They've got so many great flavors. This one here is my absolute favorite, along with the grapefruit. Now I do buy my kids poppers when we're out. I find it really convenient if we're going to the zoo, if we are going swimming and they want a cold juice afterwards. I do have poppers in the freezer. I take them with us. But for around the house, I'm actually going to start giving them just some watered down cordial. I don't like poppers because I find them very sweet for little children. So I tend to always add water in it when I'm at home. I pour it into a cup and add water, which just seems really silly because it's meant to be convenient. So this here was $3.90. I can buy 6 poppers for $3.15. This is going to give me more than 6 poppers easily. I don't think it tells you on here how many drinks it can make. And I can water it down to what I think is suitable for my kids. So buying cordial's a great option. There are cheaper options out there. I love the flavor of those ones. But I think not using packaging food at home, which leads me on to popcorn and chips, don't buy the little bags for around the home. If you want to have them convenient when you go out, that's your choice. But if you want to save money, buy the large bags. It's cheaper. Buy a clip to put on top of the bag to keep it air safe. Buy the large bottles, hide them so the kids don't see them. Make your own popcorn and store things. It's such a cheaper option. These were on sale. My kids do love these chips. These were $1.90. If I had bought the bags individually, I think it worked out to be, if I had the same weight, it worked out to be $3 more expensive for the pre-little packaged chips ones. They weren't on sale, these ones were. It worked out to be another $3. That's almost a bag and a half of that I could have purchased over, because I am paying for the extra bags and I'm paying for the process of someone to divvy these chips up for me. It's just not worth it when I'm at home. All right guys, I've just made myself a cup of tea and I put away all my cold groceries because they were turning warm. Probably not the best time of year to do a long video haul and also share my Insta story because all my frozen food was starting to thaw out. So I thought I would sit down here and now share some tips with you. So as I said in the beginning, I think there are 3 things you need to factor in, or not pick one of them, but find is what's most important for you. And that's in regards to saving money. So if you are really tight on a budget, if you want to eat super healthy or you're not too fast, and convenience. So if you are really short on time or if you've got endless amount of time to do cooking, those 3 things are really going to affect or factor into what you purchase and how you do your grocery shopping. For me, hands down, the easiest thing for grocery shopping I have learned over the years is online. I showed it in a recent video, which was my doing the Shelf Timber Challenge with Jordan Page. Doing online shopping, before I pay, I can see my grocery amount and I can pull things out or add things in so I can stick to my budget. For our family, look, I am home full time, so I do have the flexibility to cook. But look, as any parent, sometimes you want the flexibility. I'm not too strict on super organic, healthy. My kids have sugar. We have sugar. And in regards to budget, we do have a budget, but we are not hardcore saving, trying to reduce debt, because if we were, I would definitely shop in my local fruit barn. For example, the lettuce I got today, the iceberg lettuce, was $1.90. My fruit barn probably has it for 90 cents. Quality is a little bit different, but for $1 savings is a lot, and that's just on one item. So for our family, there definitely is a balance between convenience. When it's convenient food, the packaged meat pies. I did have some frozen chicken breast fingers. I don't think I showed you them. They're the Stegel ones. I'll see if I can do like an insert here and just show you what they are. When they go on sale, I do buy them because they're super convenient. I like having them cut up for the children as like chicken nuggets, or I put them into like my salad, make them in my salad wrap. I do like convenient food, but I will always, apart from today's grocery haul, I will always purchase them when they're on sale. And if I do like them and I'm running low, I'll stock up on them. So let's go through some really fast tips. The more packaging in your food, the more you are gonna pay. The more the food has been touched, for example, the peas and corn mixed together, you purchase a bag of peas and corn, you're gonna pay more for that because you're paying for someone to do that process for you. It is cheaper to buy in bulk. We do not have a big fridge in our house, but I can buy a kilo of cheese compared to 500 grams of cheese. I'll buy the cheese and cut it up myself because it is cheaper to buy the large block of cheese, and it is cheaper to cut the cheese myself than buying it pre-done. I will always have noodles or pasta in my pantry, and I will always have food that I have pre-made in my freezer. Pumpkin soup, spaghetti bolognese mince. When it comes to fresh fruit, I'll always try and shop the things that are cheaper to purchase. I don't buy fruit and veg in bulk because it does go off, and I just don't have the room in my house to cut it up and freeze it. My local fruit barn, you can buy a tray of mangoes, and I think you get like 20 mangoes for about $20, which is super cheap because mangoes are about $2.50 in the peak of season, and they can go anywhere up to about $4. They'd be great for about 2 days. We could live off mangoes and then you could cut the rest up and freeze them. We just do not have the freezer space here. So for me, I shop smarter on the fruit that is cheaper per kilo and is the fruit we will eat. We're not gonna not buy the food that we like. So my kids like bananas and they're really expensive. They will still get them. Instead of buying 6 in a week, I might buy 2 and be more strategic about how they eat them. So instead of getting them a whole banana, I might cut the banana up and mix it with some other fruits. They're still getting the banana, but they're getting cheaper fruit in with it as well. Now, I think you also need to weigh up the fact that if you are gonna shop around, you need to factor in your time and how much you are spending driving to location to location to location. Keep that in mind because it can add up and sometimes it's just not worth it. Now there was a product I didn't show you, and it is my washing powder. I'm going to do an insert here and just show you it. This is my washing powder hack. So the 2 most expensive items we would always have in our groceries for the week were our milk, our dairy consumption, and our washing powder. Now we love dairy. I don't really want to change that too much. I can pare it back. But in regards to washing powder, I was paying about $12 for, I think it was like 2 kilos of washing powder. My little hack here is to get the Coles brand, and I get the booster soak-in, mix them together, and I think it comes down to like $3 or $2.60 for 4 kilos. No, it came down to about $3.60 or $4 for 4 kilos, 5 kilos of washing powder. The cheapest thing out there. So many of you have tried it and you've commented on my Instagram page or you've commented on my YouTube's videos below how impressed you are at how cheap it is, and there is no difference. And you've tested it on sensitive skins for your bubs, you've tested on your husband, no one noticed the difference apart from your bank balance, which would save you about $10 every time you had to buy washing powder. So I think when you do grocery shopping, you've really got to question what your norm is, and that's what I started doing about 12 to 18 months ago when I really wanted to bring our grocery bill down. We were $180 a week, I wanted to get it down to $150. And I just couldn't find ways of doing it. So I really had to question. I didn't want to like remove items from my grocery list because we enjoyed those food, and I'd rather my kids enjoy the food than not eat the food and the food gets wasted. I just had to change the way I thought of doing it. Instead of buying a bag of made popcorn that's got the little sachets in it, I just buy corn kernels and make my own popcorn. A fraction of the price, same thing. My kids know no different. My kids actually like helping me make it in the microwave, which is really, really fun, and I'm saving money, which is the big key. When I worked full-time in the corporate world, I would work for large businesses, and they would always look at ways of improving efficiency and effectiveness in the way they would operate. And some of the training that I would always say to them is, instead of having 10 items and just removing one completely from the business, take those 10 items and reduce each one by just 1 or 2%, and you'll get an improvement across the board. And then you continue to look at ways and how you can just make very, very small percentage changes to get better efficiency. So apply that in your grocery list. Instead of just saying, that's it. We spend a lot of money on milk. Instead of saying, that's it, we're not doing milk anymore, you're not gonna have your coffee every day, the kids, you're gonna have cereal with water instead of milk for breakfast, just try and pare it back. So don't take it away, just pare it back a little bit. So I used to have 3 milk coffees from our coffee machine every day. I've pared that back to 1 coffee in the morning. It's my favorite time of the day is to have my milk coffee from our coffee machine. If I feel like another coffee, I'll have an instant coffee, or I just go down to having a cup of tea, which obviously has a lot less milk in it. We were almost sitting at 15 litres of milk a week. We're down to 12. Still enjoying it. It's been a change. I do enjoy. It probably will reduce down a bit more. My kids still have a morning milk and an evening milk. They just really like it, and until they don't want it anymore, I'm going to keep giving it to them. They do have it watered down, but that's just an example of just taking a small percentage from something instead of removing it completely is where you can prove. So it's called the percentage change. So making a percentage of change in whatever you're focusing on, what they're trying to improve. Don't remove it, because you will subconsciously then want it and crave it. Just reduce it down by a very, very small percent, and you will see an improvement. In regards to groceries, you'll see an improvement in your budget. Now, when it comes to, and I get this asked all the time in my Instagram page, when it comes down to food prepping for the week, how do you do it? Now, a lot of people say go through your pantry, find what food you've got, and then go to the grocery store. But I keep things so simple. I have a budget. I have a budget of $140 every week for our groceries. I will go onto Coles online and I will stock up on things that are on sale, and then things that aren't on sale that we need, I will purchase. And I might go through and think, oh, I'm low on chicken, I'll grab some chicken. I'm low on fish, I'll grab some frozen fish. Once I have my groceries, I will go through and start to make dinner menu for the week. Now, it sounds really back to front, but I just keep it really, really simple. I don't have an inventory of what's in my fridge and freezer or my pantry. I kind of know what's in there, and I regularly go through and have a look. I think it's a waste of paper and a waste of time to have that inventory. Maybe if you've got like a whole heap of deep freezers and you've kind of lost track of things. But seriously, once I've got my groceries and I've just put them away, I've just gone through and made a list of dinners for the week, and I will share them with you here. I actually do 8 dinners, and that just gives me one up my sleeve, if that makes sense. And a little tip I've done with our dinners for the week, a lot of people will factor in a takeaway. I do not. I do not factor in takeaway anymore. We do have it on the odd week, but if I factor it in, then I'm almost looking forward to having a takeaway dinner, and there's nothing else to have that night. So if I don't factor it in, it kind of encourages me not to have takeaway to spend money, and instead we'll have leftovers, or I've got a meal planned for that day. So I actually got 8 meals planned for the week. I'll always factor in leftovers to make sure that we eat the leftovers, and that usually comes down to the weekend, because on weekends there's no routine. We'll have dinner a bit early, or you might just have a piece of toast for dinner and sort of snack and that sort of thing. Great opportunity to have leftovers and clean out your fridge. So try and keep things really simple when it comes to doing your food for the week. I know I've got spag bowl mince. We've got spag bowl to have one night this week. I've got pasta in the pantry, dinner sorted. I've got bread. I'll make some garlic bread to have with it. I really want to have pulled pork this week, so probably this evening, or actually tomorrow, because we're home all day tomorrow. I'm going to put the pulled pork on to cook with all the seasonings, cook it away. I've got sweet potato in the pantry, and we're going to have the stuffed sweet potatoes for dinner. I think another way to make your dinner options a lot less stressful is to definitely stockpile and have plenty of food pre-prepped for you. I've got 4 containers of shredded chicken. I've got chicken soup, pumpkin soup. I have got taco mince. I have got savory mince. I've got sausages. I've got steaks in the freezer. So if I come down to once I've done my grocery shopping and I think, gee, I've got a lot of vegetables or a lot of salad, pull out a steak, marinate it, cook it, dinner is done. It doesn't have to be complex. It can be really, really simple when it comes to dinner planning. You don't need inventories. You don't need a list. You just need to have an idea on what you want to cook that week. And when you feel like cooking it, cook it. Anyway, guys, I hope that really helped with some tips and tricks on a grocery haul shopping. Again, just don't forget, you need to consider those 3 things. Are you on a really tight budget? Are you super, super food conscious in regards to health and nutrition? Or have you got a bit of flexibility there? And what is your time like? Have you got all the time in the world? Do you hate cooking, or you are really, really busy and just don't have time, and convenience food is your key? Once you've got those 3 understood, I think grocery shopping will be a lot more easier for you and less stressful, and you've got a reasoning why you're doing certain things. And if you want to cut back on something, then you need to look at the other 2 and reassess, I like the convenience but I want to budget more, then one of those is going to have to give. Anyway guys, we will talk soon. Bye.